All right, guys, man, I'm back. So I was talking and nothing was coming in. I guess it was my car issue. So I come out the car to drop this quick episode. So yeah, man, I'm gonna run my intro and we're gonna give this thing a take two about the finals reaction for Game 2, Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets. Let's get it. All right, man, let's get it. Let's get it. So we're talking Miami Heat. We're talking the Denver Nuggets, right? Great win for Miami, right? Here's a team that has fought, beat the likes of guys like Giannis and, the Boston Celtics, and people continue to doubt the Miami Heat. Hopefully, my guy Timeout Sports is watching this episode or listening to this video version. He had no faith in the Miami Heat. He was telling me these guys were able to shoot 48% from three. These guys came in, and then guess what? They made 17 three-pointers. Appreciate you, Dre. Man, I was on a rant. I was going in, and I had to come out my car. And my car does some crazy stuff, so I had to come out my car. I had to get this episode out before I get really busy. But yeah, shout out to the Miami Heat. Made 17 threes. Duncan Robinson came in, gave them a huge boost in that fourth quarter. Now, he comes in 10 points. Here's a guy, what I'm most impressed about Duncan Robinson the most is that now he's able to put the ball on the floor and get to the bucket. If he doesn't score, he's going to pass it back out. So that's a new evolution to his game. And he's a guy, for those who are familiar with the Washington Wizards, Davis Bertans and Duncan Robinson were literally twins. They were literally cousins. For the simple fact that they both got the big payday and literally forgot how to shoot, right? So Duncan Robinson is having a very good playoffs. He's coming into his own. He's back into the rotation, and he was a big part of why the Miami Heat were able to come back and win this game. The Miami Heat, here's a stat for you guys. They have come back and won at least 7 games in these playoffs that they've been down 10 or more plus points. So shout out to the Miami Heat. Big win. Duncan Robinson came up big. Kyle Lowry came up big, made a couple of threes. He's a guy that I talked about in the last episode that is going to be able to come in and play big for his respective team. And he came in, he played big. There was a time when he kind of drove and he shoved Jokic, and they called it an offensive foul. Kyle Lowry, he's small, but in his role, he is that bulldog. He is that guy that can kind of step up for you and do some different things. Dre says, that's cool, but Miami role players stepped up big time. Gabe Vincent, Love, Lowry, with his leadership. Facts. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm about to get to a lot of these players, So Lowry, we talked about Lowry, we talked about Duncan Robinson. Game 1, it was Haysmith, right? Haysmith did nothing this game. It just happens. The last game, I talked about Kevin Love being inserted into that starting lineup. That finally happens, and with Kevin Love being inserted into the starting lineup, what that does is it gives you a bigger body to put on Jokic if need be. It gives you another guy who can rebound, right? So it just makes that lineup a whole lot better. Instead of guarded by Aaron Gordon is being guarded by a Gabe Vincent or somebody smaller. So they took out Caleb Martin, like I said. You guys go back, check the tape, call me out if I was wrong. I said, take out Caleb Martin, go Kevin Love. They did that, and that was a big part of why the Miami Heat won this game. Also, Kevin Love gave you 10 rebounds, right? He also gave you 2 big threes, and that's what he's there to do. Stretch the floor, rebound, be another big body instead of going with Bam and a bunch of guards, right? So that helped out big time. Jimmy Butler, he stepped up in the fourth quarter. He stepped up when he needed to step up. He had, 20 points? Then you had Bam. Bam has been phenomenal this entire series. Bam is actually putting pressure on Jokic. Jokic actually has to guard Bam. This isn't like where Jokic is kind of just floating around on defense. Attack that guy. If you attack Jokic, good things come from attacking him. We're going to get to the Denver Nuggets players in a minute. Now, My boy Dre also talked about Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent, man, he is from my country, Nigeria, and I love supporting my Nigerian players. He plays for the Nigerian team. I support Gabe Vincent, but I don't really support Bam Adebayo. Even though Bam Adebayo is Nigerian, he plays with that USA team. So we don't claim Bam. All right, we more so claim a guy like Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent, he's going to get paid. He's one of those guys, kind of like an Austin Reeves, right? Undrafted, you play well in the season, more so in the playoffs, and then now you're going to get that bag come free agency. So I'm happy for him. He has stepped up big. He looks like he belongs in the NBA, and he's going to continue to do great things. It says Manny, Gabe Vincent from hometown. Yeah, absolutely, man. That's my guy. That's my guy, man. And I love all of our Nigerian players. Fun fact. My dad does some recruiting for the Nigerian national team. My dad was the one that helped to recruit, not helped. My dad was the one that recruited Gabe Vincent to the Nigerian national team. So that's a fun fact there. But my dad, he'll never get the credit because he does this as a hobby. He does it for fun. It's not a profession, but it's just something that he does, recruiting, scouting, things of that nature, but he does it for fun. So the previous coach of the Nigerian team, Mr. Nwora, he has a son that's in the NBA, Jordan Nwora. He was the former coach before Mike Brown came in and took over. Shout out to Mike Brown. He's doing great things, both in the NBA and for that national team. But yeah, back to this game, man. So Gabe Vincent came up big, huge game. Caleb Martin, even though that he lost the starting lineup, they said that he lost the starting lineup because of illness, but he played decent. He played 21 minutes. He made that big three. And when he made that big three-pointer, if you look at Terrell Davis from the Denver Broncos, his face looked so funny. Like the guy was just so sad. He was going through it. So big game for from the Miami Heat. They played a lot of guys. There was a lot of guys that got 17 minutes or more. I think up to 8, maybe 9 guys got at least 17 minutes in the game. So it wasn't just one guy. It just wasn't 2 guys. It was a whole team effort. And I talk about as the Heat as a whole, big threes. From 3. There are some Miami Heat fans, cough, Timeout Sports, who says that the Miami Heat are not a good three-point shooting team, that they shot out of their mind the last few rounds of the playoffs. That might be true. But like I said, before I got cut off, this Miami Heat team is special. They are not your typical, they're not your regular 8th seed in the NBA playoffs. This team in these playoffs have come back 7 times where they were 4 more plus points. So it's a special team. This is a team that have knocked out the Bucks, who I felt were the best team in the East. This is a team that has knocked out the Boston Celtics, who were tougher at a point in time, right? So now they're playing Denver, right? You're hearing, oh, Denver's so much more talented. Denver's bigger, Denver's stronger. Coached by Coach Spo, a guy who has been to the finals, a guy who has won multiple titles with different multiple teams. Why not now? What's the difference between this Miami Heat team and the team that went to contend with the Lakers? Yes, you're playing Jokic, but like I said, if you want Jokic to be less ineffective, let him be a guy who's going to score more than he passes. And because he was not able to pass, we're going to go ahead and dive into Denver for a short little second. So because Jokic is not passing the ball, right? Then you have a guy like Aaron Gordon, less effective at 7 rebounds, but he was not as effective as he was. Right? Then on top of that, Michael Porter, he looks like Otto Porter Jr., okay? He did not play to his full potential. He will never play to his full potential being in Denver. Okay? Dre brings up a great point. He says, yo, is Tyler Hero coming back in this game or series? Miami is special. Jimmy Butler, yes. I'm hearing that Tyler Hero should be able to go in game 3. Obviously, things have to go well. during that, warm-ups and things of that nature. But he's on track to return, if not in game 3, possibly in game 4. Tyler Hero is a guy who can create for himself. Tyler Hero is a guy that can score buckets. Tyler Hero is a guy that can play multiple roles for this team. If you want to go a little bit bigger or a little bit more dynamic at the point guard position, you can start Hero at that point guard position. And guess what? Now that pick and roll between Bam and Hero is more dangerous than anything they have. Maybe a pick and roll with Jimmy and Hero. You can do so many different things with Hero and another guy who's a threat to score. Then, whether he starts, whether he comes off the bench, he's going to solidify either one of these units, starting or coming off the bench. Hero's going to elevate this team. And then now it makes the Miami Heat a much deeper team. Look at what Miami has been able to do in the 7 weeks that Tyler Hero has not played with this squad. They've been able to knock out teams and knock out teams and knock out teams and knock out teams and get to the finals with a bunch of undrafted guys. Get to the finals with a bunch of guys that are less talented, right? Like the Mike Strus and, Gabe Vincents of the world. And, you have Caleb Martin. You have all these different components, all these different guys for the Miami Heat. And they're doing this without a guy like Hero, who's like a borderline all-star, you can say. A guy who can come in, fill it up, can average anywhere from 20 to 24 points. If Hero comes back and Hero is, let's say, 70%, I like the chances for the Miami Heat. Even without Hero, I still like the chances. I picked Miami in 6. We don't know what's going to happen. But overall, like I said, great game. Kyle Lowry came in, gave them good minutes. Bam Adebayo attacking and scoring and defending. I mean, he blocked Jokic, a few times or one time for sure that I saw. So, team looks good. Erik Spoelstra is a Hall of Fame coach. He's a Hall of Fame coach. I was one of the people that said that Erik Spoelstra is a good coach just because he had LeBron and this guy and that guy. But we saw Spoelstra do the same thing. I don't know if Coach Spo was the coach of that team that had Shaq and had Dwayne Wade. I'm not sure. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that Pat Riley was the coach, and then he chose his successor and Spoelstra to coach LeBron and them, and he did well. I was one of the guys that said, oh, he's only a good coach because he has great players. But now I've seen this guy continue to go to finals without a whole bunch of great players, so to speak. I've seen this guy continue to groom players. You see him grab players that I won't say that are worthless, because there's no such thing as an NBA player being worthless. But I will say that he's taking less talented players and maximizing their efforts. Shout out to Udonis Haslem, a guy who has been a steady a guy for that Heat culture. He's a steadying voice. Once he talks, people respect what he's saying. There's been scuffles or there have been altercations between him and Jimmy Butler. He's been there. He understands. Although he's not a star caliber player, his voice is star caliber, and he's going to be a coach when it's all said and done. Dre says, the zone confused the Nuggets. I'll play Jokic straight up. That neutralizes his passing skills. He only had 4 assists last game. Absolutely. That's the best way to attack this Nuggets team. That's to either play the zone or to even play him straight up. You want Jokic to go for 40 points. You want Jokic to go for 50 points. When Jokic is scoring, this Denver team is not as good as they could be. When he's passing the ball and he's doing all these special passes, doing all this, that's when Jokic is the best Jokic there is, right? My guy, Legendary Grant, was good. Appreciate you coming into the stream. Legendary Grant says Nuggets in 6. We'll see. I got the Miami Heat in 7. Miami Heat in 6. We'll see what happens. I just think that this Miami Heat team is special. They're like that March Madness team. They remind me of that George Mason team that made it all the way to that Final Four. That's kind of like what I'm seeing out of this team. People look at their seeding, right? What they were in the play-in, right? They lost. Then they had to play another game. They won that game, so they barely made the playoffs. Now they're here. Now they're fighting. They just have that fight. They have this fight, this grit. It's something special about this Heat team. They got a bunch of dogs, a bunch of guys that play hard, right? They're not the most talented team. They're not more talented than Denver, but guess what? They play hard, and then they have heart. So I think that heart possibly translates 4 games, 4 wins. We'll see. Legendary Grant says, if Jimmy wins this ring, does he move past Bosh? I know he's not moving past Wade or Braun. No, if Jimmy wins this title, Jimmy Butler, I'm going to say this one time, Jimmy Butler will be as important to Miami as LeBron was. Because Wade holds a special place in their hearts. Like, Wade brought them that first title. Wade and Shaq, right? But really Wade, right? Then the second title, third title was that LeBron, Wade, Bosh. You know, it's a group of guys. LeBron is special. I'm not taking nothing away from LeBron. But if Jimmy Butler is able to help the Miami Heat win this title with this squad, with this less talented squad, I could potentially move Jimmy Butler higher than LeBron. Yes, I'm going to say it. Jimmy Butler will mean more to the Miami Heat than LeBron if Jimmy Butler wins this title. As an 8th seed, the adversity, everything that they've gone through, not having Tyler Hero, the list goes on and on and on. Now, obviously, it's a team game, it's a team sport, it's just not Jimmy. But let's just say that Jimmy goes bananas and he goes into that scoring 30 to 45 type thing that he does. Then, I mean, you got to give this guy a statue. I mean, this title would be so special, taking down the number 1 team in the NBA, and the Nuggets have been the number 1 team in the NBA consistently all year. So, Dre says Eric was on that team with Shaq and Wade. He was their videographer. Oh, wow. And he is a Hall of Fame coach. Coaching will win the series. Absolutely. Coaching, you look at the adjustments. You look at putting love into that starting lineup. Even though I was the one that called Eric Spoelstra and said, hey, put love into the starting lineup. And he finally listened to me, and he was able to do that. So I deserve some kind of credit. But no, in all seriousness, Eric Spoelstra is an amazing coach. He's an amazing coach. Legendary Grant says, let's be honest, though. The role players carrying Jimmy, in my opinion. How can they be carrying Jimmy if Jimmy had 21 last game and Jimmy stepped up in the 4th quarter? I get it. I know Duncan Robinson had 10 in the 4th quarter. But also, Jimmy stepped up when they needed him to step up. Jimmy was the reason they won that game, because there was times when the Miami Heat needed buckets. And Jimmy was able to go and get those buckets. Without Jimmy, they lose the lead and most likely lose the game. But here's what I always say. The role players play well at home, right? The role players play bad on the road. So now we've had some excellent games from these role players, especially some off the bench, right? They've played well in Denver, right? So what's going to happen now is these role players, they get to eat, they get to go to sleep, they're with their loved ones, they wake up, they're happy. Now they're going to head to this game from home, and you're going to see elevated play from guys like Gabe Vincent. You're going to see Duncan Robinson have even a better game. You're going to have guys like Strus. You're going to have guys like Bam. Bam is, he's an all-star, but sometimes he plays like a role player. Like, let's just call it what it is. So you're going to see a lot of these role players play even better at home, right? What I'll be looking for in Game 3 is, how does the Denver Nuggets role player, how do they react? How do they play? Are they going to play well? Are they going to play bad? Because playing on the road as a role player is really, really, really tough. So once again, man, shout out to the Heat. Shout out to the Nuggets. It's been a great series so far because I was not interested. But the beginning of that second quarter of that game was when I started watching. I was busy. And I actually thought that the game came on 30 minutes later. They hit me with that okie doke. Started the game 30 minutes earlier. So I missed that first quarter, missed some of that second quarter. But from that second quarter on, that game was amazing. I was up on my feet, excited. So, guys, let me know in the comment section, for those of you guys watching the replay, listening to the audio, who do you guys think will win Game 3? Is it Miami at home? Is it Denver? Does Jokic go back to his ways of passing, facilitating, then scoring? Or are they going to need Jokic to score even more? Will there be a role player from Miami that we're not talking about right now that steps up big for them in Game 3? Let me know your predictions, and I'm going to catch you guys after game 3. I'm going to hop on Thursday evening and give you guys my reaction to the game. And who knows, if the game is so good on Wednesday night, I'm going to get on live that same Wednesday night and talk about this game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Once again, guys, this is your guy, Manny. This is the Talking Sports with Manny podcast, the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. I'm going to catch you guys on that next episode. I'm out. Peace.